Have you ever heard about big data analytics? Do you know that in the future, every object on the earth will be generating data, including our homes, our cars, our bodies? Every actions we take will leave a digital trails. Big data analytics examines large amount of data to uncover hidden patterns, correlations, and other insights. The concept of big data has been around for years. Nowadays, many organizations understand that if they capture all the data that streams into their business, they can apply analytics and get significant value from it. But even in the 1950s, decades before anyone spoken the terms big data, businesses were using basic analytics, essentially number in spreadsheet, and that were manually examined to discover insights and trends. In 2005, Roger Mugalas created the term big data only a year after they created the term Web 2.0. It refers to a large set of data that is almost impossible to manage and process using traditional business intelligence tools. On the same year, Hadoop, which was created by Yahoo, its goal was to index the entire World Wide Web. And nowadays, the open source Hadoop is used by lots of organizations to crunch through huge amounts of data. Nowadays, innovative startups also start to dig into this massive amount of data, and also government starts working on big data projects. According to IIA Director Tom said that big data analytics give benefits for organizations, which include first, cost reduction, second, make better decisions making immediately, third, able to measure customer needs and satisfactions. I interviewed Dr. Mila yesterday. She told me about potential business impact of big data. Let's listen to what she said.
Big data is extremely valuable. There is another issue relating to breach and actually stealing of such information. For example, hacking. You must have heard on the news that Combank has had data breach recently. Australian National University had a data breach as well when the data was actually hacked. There's also another dimension to it, which is supply chain. Again, now we have a lot of data being accumulated from big retailers, Alibaba, Amazon, eBay. They have data points from hundreds, thousands of people. So in the supply chain at the moment, there are a lot of consultancies and businesses which have been developed around big data mining and finding an algorithm to actually explain patterns in data. And it is extremely helpful because if you're a website such as Alibaba or eBay, and you deal with multiple businesses, a lot of people or businesses sell through your platform, you need to ensure that you have credible ones, that you don't have people who actually cheat other people out of money. So you need some verification for credentials. You also need to know how quickly the consumers would get the order. And I know that they have been using a lot of consultancy services of companies in China, which were really strong in data mining, and they helped them identify unreliable vendors, and then Alibaba actually removed them. They also looked at understanding which mode of transportation is more effective. So Alibaba is helping the vendors themselves. They say, hey, look, maybe you don't use motorbike, but you use this service instead. So they also try to help using big data that they've collected their partners, the businesses who do business with them. So there are tremendous implications to big data, and also trying to understand how you can make sense of this big data to actually improve not just your own business, but also provide value to the people who sell through your network when it comes to B2B and supply chain management.
Thank you, Mila. Do you know what is the current national and international legislation surrounding big data?
Sure. So in Australia, we have a Privacy Act, which was released in 1988. It's a very old piece of legislation, and it has been updated throughout the years to accommodate for changes in the technology, particularly big data. So the biggest change which we had was in 2016, when a guide has been released to actually give guidance to firms on how to manage the collection of personally identifiable information, which falls into the category of big data. However, this piece of legislation applies to public and private businesses whose turnover is above $3 million. So that basically means that any other business entity whose turnover is below 3 million is sort of not affected by it, but they are encouraged to actually follow these guidelines. And when this was introduced, basically the requirement was, or the recommendation for the industry, that when they try to collect identifiable information, they should ask consumers' consent for it. However, some of these terms and conditions were very long and bulky, and a lot of consumers maybe have just ticked yes, I consent, without reading them. But basically what this legislation now says is that companies need to try to de-identify personal information if they, for example, do not have resources to mine their data and they they give it to someone else overseas to run big data analytics on them. They have to try to de-identify it. And ideally, we would like firms to actually follow these rules, right? Also, this legislation, this guide said that if our information is going to be passed on to any third party for data mining, the company has to tell their consumers about it.
Do you believe that we live in a society that benefits from big data? Do you know that our smart devices are actually tracking us in our daily life and transferring to data for analyzing our behaviors? Do you aware of that our society has become self-controlled gradually because of the self-tracking and real-time control based on the data? This is true that big data are shaping our modern society in different ways. For example, smart traffic management is not even need people's identifiable information. It is more rely on different practice of personal behaviors tracking. Then, all the data collected from individuals will help social scientists to explain why certain things happened and find a way to avoid bad things happen, such as crime. More importantly, every time you are driving on the road while using Google Maps, for example, you actually transmit to your data including road conditions, speed, to traffic control for them to make predictions. Also, you benefit with these predictions. The map will provide you time to arrive and alternative routes if there is a traffic jams. This is contributed from real-time control of complex system. Big data can be used in various ways, and its efforts will be used for community good, such as healthy care, resource management, and even disaster predictions.
Wow, it sounds like big data offers a veritable gold mine of potential benefits. But I know that it also poses significant challenge that could offset any potential gains. Could you guess what kinds of risks it will bring to the business?
Let me guess. I think the high cost must be one of the downsides of big data because it must need many equipment and experts to run it, right?
Yes, exactly. Business still face significant expenses related to staffing, hardware, maintenance, and related service. In addition, the expense on data scientists and big data experts are very high because the demand for these kinds of talented experts is increasing. But lack of a big data skill set has been the number one big data challenge for the past 3 years.
Yes, with the rapid development of big data technology, some companies would face the situation of lack of talent. Also, I think the security problem is also a possible risk in a business setting.
Yes, storing big data, particularly sensitive data, can make companies a more attractive target for cyber attackers. And many executives rank cybersecurity's branch as the single greatest data threat their company face. And I also found that compliance risk and data quality risk also need to be considered by the company. Much of the information included in companies' big data stories is sensitive or personal. And that means that firms may need to be ensured that they are meeting industry standards or government requirements when handling and storing the data.